Well, I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one who has had these wardrobe challenges. There are so many women on YouTube talking about style and the capsule wardrobe and colour therapy and all sorts of fascinating things that I've never been able to conquer. It occurred to me the other day when I was thinking about this that my thoughts about dressing and my clothing started, like so many things that affect us today, it started in my youth, in my childhood. You may remember that I came to be brought up by my aunt. When I was 8 years old, I came to live here in the United Kingdom with my aunt, and then I was sent to boarding school, and I stayed there for a very long time. Now, my aunt had some very definite thoughts and ideas about how children should be treated. And one of the things she had a funny idea about was that fashion and being dressed fashionably or attractively was specifically for a girl child not advisable. That fashion was something that you indulged in when you were an adult, a young woman, and then you could be as fashionable as you wanted. And I think in her mind she may have confused fashion for sexy clothing. I think maybe that's what she was thinking. Because she used to take me to Marks and Spencer's in those days, and we're talking about the very early 80s, and make a beeline for the most unattractive clothing in the store. They were not only unattractive to look at, but they were also very stiff. She used to go for plaid or checked shirts, corduroy trousers, quite stiff. On top of the checked shirt, she would choose a tank top, or otherwise known as a vest, a knitted vest. And I absolutely hated those clothing, and I made deep and long-lasting associations based on my dislike of my clothing in my wardrobe. And I never seemed to have any of the clothing that I actually enjoyed wearing, which was very strongly juxtaposed against some of the girls that I went to boarding school with. There were young girls from all over the world in my school. Monte Carlo, Paris, New York, Iran, all sorts of incredible places, and there was definitely a pecking order as to who was the most admired, the most popular, and a lot of it was down to their fashionable hairstyle and their clothing. I'd never owned an item of clothing from Miss Selfridge or Topshop, but they had plenty. They were rolling in those clothes. Even their underwear was really fashionable, leopard print and things like that. Of course, I had the Marks and Spencer zone. So I always thought, oh, I'm really looking forward to getting old enough so that I can get away from this really stiff, unattractive clothing that I was always put in. And by the time I was old enough to make my own choices, I had already become a rebel. And as a rebel, the last thing I wanted to do was to think about anything like classic clothing or wardrobe staples or college stuff. I wanted rebellious clothing. Give me something frayed and ripped. Give me an old beaten up biker jacket. Give me long flowing skirts and some boots from the charity shop. And going to art college as well just made these desires even more pronounced in my mind. I completely missed the entire idea of staples, neutrals, classic clothing, capsule wardrobe. I've come in for my lunch. I'd completely circumnavigated the skills that I needed to understand in order to have a wardrobe that served me well as I grew older. I distinctly remember a time. My aunt lived in the south of France. She lived near Nice, and she was friendly with the next door neighbours who had a daughter in her 20s, and that daughter had a brother in his late 20s. And of course, as a very, very young teenager, I must have been 13, 14. I just thought he was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. Well, you can imagine that those two, when they went out, they dressed up so well. And I remember times when we went out, the two houses went out together, and they were all dressed so wonderful. And I was dressed in the most hideous, itchy, nasty, just awful colours for me, terrible clothing. I do think that my self-esteem took a real hit even at that young age. I don't think that a very young girl like that needs necessarily to look sexy in order to look nice and well put together, wearing harmonious colours that suited her rather than those maroon corduroy trousers that are imprinted on my mind. My self-esteem started to make associations to say that I'm not worthy of having those nice clothing. And it fed later in my life, it fed into the rebellious streak. That basically I didn't want to try and have nice clothes. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to be a rebel. Well, you can't be a rebel forever. Well, you can be a rebel. You can be a rebel forever. But I haven't found that being a rebel has served me particularly well in all instances. In some respects, it served me very well, but not in all respects. And incredibly enough, now at 55, my self-confidence and my self-esteem are coming back to life. It's been a process over these last 4 years to wake up to myself again and actually feel like myself again. That's such a strange thing to say, because you think, well, who were you feeling like if it wasn't like yourself? I have heard someone say that if you have negative thoughts about yourself, they're not really your own original, authentic thoughts. They're more likely to be thoughts that you've picked up on or have been told by somebody else, and you've just taken them on board. It's quite a good thing that at 55 now I find that I'm waking up to my own thoughts. I want to look well put together in any situation. I want to have a wardrobe of clothes that works well for me. I want to wear colours that really suit me and allow me to use them in really interesting ways. I don't just want to stick to those basic foundational pieces that a wardrobe is built on. I do also want to have the interesting things that... So I've been doing some research, and I've been on the YouTube channel of Personal Styling, which I mentioned in my video yesterday. She has some really useful concepts that I think are going to work for me very, very well. They can work for anybody very, very well. She basically talks about choosing a base neutral colour. Now, of course, there are lots of different types of neutral colour, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start of something that you like and that is readily available in the shops and that suits your complexion. I mean, I like creams and very pale, well, you could call this oatmeal, you know, that neutral I'm very comfortable with. Some people choose black as their neutral, but I never will. And if ever I do wear black, it's going to be a soft black or a charcoal. It's never, ever, I'm never going to revisit that harsh black that I used to wear everything in. Well, and she says, once you've decided on a neutral, let's say cream, okay, then you buy several basic pieces in the cream. So you might, Julia, don't jump up there. So you might decide to buy a cream vest, a tight cream lycra long sleeve top with a scoop neck, a very fine cream knit, and then building it up, you know, going heavier, but keeping to that same foundational colour. And that potentially means that you have a neutral that's going to go with your wardrobe, whatever it might be, in every shape, so you can swap out those shapes until you have something pleasing to you that suits your figure and the occasion and indeed your mood. And most importantly, another thing that I learned last week is that you do the same thing in your shoes. I mean, I'm never going to wear black shoes. For those who follow the Dress Your Truth, I'm a type 2 with a secondary of 1. I'm never going to wear black shoes, but I certainly will wear cream or oatmeal type shoes. This sort of colour. I love this sort of colour. So she says, you know, get that colour in a slip-on, get it in a trainer, get it in a low-heeled slingback, get a pointy toe, get a rounded toe, get a boot. So whatever silhouette you want, whatever mood you want, you've got a basic that's going to work for you. These are revelations. I've been aware of them at the back of my mind somewhere, but I've never been prepared to learn the system. And there is most certainly a system, and there's most certainly things to learn. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I can do it by myself. I cannot do it by myself. And the years that I've grappled with what outerwear to wear, what coat, what jacket. There are certain things I don't like, which means that I have to find usable items in the colours that I like and that are going to suit what I have. So this is kind of like a hobby now, because I feel good in the hair that I have. I think that the colours that I use, I think that they suit my complexion, and I love Alva. By the way, if you're new and you've just found this video, this isn't my hair. This is a wig, okay? Because I have alopecia. But, you know, the hair feeds into the clothing. It feeds into the makeup. It feeds into the jewelry. It feeds into the footwear. Who knows where this journey might end? If I become the woman that I was always supposed to be, I wonder whether my life would change. Because for a really long time now, I felt like my life hasn't changed. when I was younger, interesting and unexpected things used to happen that changed my life and changed the course of my life. But I can't really say that anything like that has recently happened to me for a really, really long time. I moved into this house in 2002, and I don't think I've had any sudden and unexpected and life-changing changes happen to me in all of that time. Now, it's really funny because somebody asked me to present a capsule wardrobe, my capsule wardrobe so far. Sweetie, I don't have one. I am just at the beginning, just like so many other women, even at this advanced stage. All I have to present is those first small tentative purchases. But we all have to start somewhere. But even with those purchases and those decisions that I made in Marks and Spencer's at the weekend, even they embody the theory of what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm very happy to share what I buy, and we can easily start with this jumper. I have two of these kind of boxy. Now, I bought this. This is a charcoal denim. It's the darkest thing that I've bought for a very long time. And it's very interesting because as you wash it, this color is going to fade. So I'm very confident that it's definitely charcoal. And it comes to just above my ankle. And today I'm wearing it with these ballet flats. And as far as a work outfit goes, I'm really happy with it. I think that it's serving me. I was able to pick up those pieces and just put them on. Nothing was fighting with anything. They all went together. They all harmonized. They were all type 2. And I feel like Alva just fits in with the overall look altogether really nicely. I'd like to get some jewelry. Now, as a type 2, I'm not really advised to wear gold, but I have so much gold jewelry that what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix gold and silver together. Because what am I going to do with all the gold pieces I have? I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm just going to mix them together and make it work.